GTBets is one of a small number of sportsbook and casino sites still open to North American customers. It's not exactly an all-in-one site because it doesn't have a poker room, skill games, bingo games, and other things that usually go into an all-in-one site. But it is a combo of sportsbook and casino and racebook. So it's a funny little creature in that way. Basically, it just lacks a poker room and maybe bingo or skill games to compete in the all-in-one stage. Another funny thing about GTBets, judging by the fact that it exclusively uses English for customer service and the US dollar for deposits and withdrawals, it seems like Americans are their main targets. You could maybe throw Canadians in there too and say that their target is North American sports bettors. I say that in part because the site doesn't cover a lot of exotic sports markets, and we'll cover those markets in a minute. And also from time to time it incentivizes major US sports with its bonuses. Look at this image here. It's clearly an image of, well, it's supposed to be NFL football. I can kind of read NFL on the ref's hat there, although this Patriots player has been stripped of his insignia. I say all that to say that this is pretty clearly a US-focused site. Though GTBets is one of the newer sportsbook combo sites I've reviewed, I looked and couldn't find a lot of customer complaints. That's the best way, in my opinion, to judge a new site, is to look and see what some of their customers are saying. And there have been few complaints about GTBets customer service or cashier department besides the usual late payment complaints. That's a symptom of doing business with Americans. GTBets premiered in 2011, and it's licensed by the Curacao Gaming Control Board. Once again, English is their only language, the US dollar the only currency. Now about their sportsbook. The layout is pretty standard. You've got your lines menu here. Starts with special wagering, which is where they keep their teasers, pleasers, and parlays. Live betting, which we'll get into in a moment. And then just their regular lines. Baseball, WNBA, Canadian rules football. These are mostly major markets. There's not really anything all that odd here, except maybe rugby. That's kind of a niche market. And, WNBA and Canadian rules football, those are kind of niche markets too. GTBets is pretty much all about sports, casino, and horses. In fact, if you look right here, bang, 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 sports, casino, and horses. But from the look of it, the sportsbook almost looks like the afterthought. That's kind of unusual for a combo site. And I'm not going to review the casino here. That's not the purpose of this. But they seem to have spent a lot more time on their casino. There's a lot more games, a lot more variety. Even though the sportsbook is supposedly the feature here. It focuses mainly on NFL football. That's their main event, so they're really kicking into top gear right now because I'm reviewing this at the beginning of the NFL season. And I would say that they focus on the NFL to the detriment of their other markets. So now, as far as the betting styles, there's a tons of different betting styles from straight wagers, money lines, parlays, teasers. They do round robins. There's quarters betting, if bets, all kinds of props and futures, everything you expect. And I want to point out, too, that international soccer, they do a really great job with international soccer. I know I kind of dogged them for being an NFL-focused site, but this is just a ton of world leagues. And not just, Major League Soccer and Premier League in England, but basically any international league you would want to bet on is available. As far as banking options, here is the deposit and payout cashier page. As you can see, there are 7 methods for adding money to your account: Visa, MasterCard, prepaid gift cards. These are all pretty good options. I especially like that most of them are fee-free. As far as the minimum and max, it ranges from about $25 or $35 up to about $1,000. Although some methods like Visa here, your maximum depends on your player status. So those are all pretty good options. It's impressive to me if we go to withdrawals here, payout options, that they have a decent number. They basically have the same number of payout options as they do for deposit options. This isn't really common for US-facing sites. And though Americans seem to be their focus, I'm sorry to say that a lot of these methods are not available to Americans. US customers will probably have to depend on check by courier, which, wow, look at that, temporarily unavailable. So that could be a problem. Your best bet would be to contact customer service if you're an American and you want to make a deposit or a withdrawal, and we'll get to details on how you can do that next. If you need to contact GTBets customer service, they make it pretty easy for you as long as you speak English. There is no other language available. The email address right here, they've got 4 dedicated email addresses. Your support email address is on top, support@gtbets.eu. Live chat is available. There's your hours of contact. It goes off Eastern Standard Time, and they're basically available from 10 in the morning to 4 in the morning. I haven't had any trouble getting a response via email or reaching anyone on live chat. And there's where you would click to initiate that. And you've got your various international and toll-free phone numbers here. All in all, I like to see a site with a neat contact page like this. A lot of times this information is spread all over the place, but it's right there in their top nav bar, and there's even a little widget here on every page on the site. If you're interested in bonuses, and I know a lot of you are, you'll like GTBets if you're a sports bettor. It's not the best book for sports bettors in terms of bonuses that I've ever reviewed, but there's a decent list of promotions. They pad this list here a little bit to make it look better than it is. But I say there's basically 3 or 4 promos that are good for sportsbook members. So your sign-up bonus here, you can trigger the sign-up bonus as a sports bettor. It's a 100% deposit match worth up to $250. The minimum deposit's $35, and there's a 5x deposit plus bonus rollover. It's like a little better than the industry standard, which I would say is probably 6x. So that's good. There's details here on this page about the welcome bonus. And remember that the rollover requirement is lower for sports bettors than for casino customers or horsebook bettors even. The reload bonuses here are also good for sportsbook customers because all customers at GTBets are eligible for a 5% deposit match bonus on all reload deposits worth up to $50. This is good on every deposit after your first one. And they have a 5x rollover for sportsbook bets as well, which is, again, that's pretty good in terms of this industry. I also like the referral bonus for sportsbook bettors because they don't have many options besides the 2 I just mentioned. You refer a friend, you get 20% of their first qualifying deposit up to $250. That's a little bit higher of a maximum than I'm used to seeing, so that's nice. But your friend does have to deposit at least $100, and that's a lot higher than I'm used to seeing. Usually it's $20, $25. So if you're going to refer friends at GTBets, they better have a little scratch, if you know what I mean. Referral bonuses have a 4x rollover, which is lower than I've ever seen. And that's really impressive, GTBets. Unfortunately, beyond those, and this somewhat cool little favorite teams deal, whereby you can get a free half point on certain basketball and football teams during their season, there's just not much here for sports bettors. If you're into racebook, there's a horse rebate, 15% rebate on net monthly losses, so you should look into that. Here's another thing. Remember that all these bonuses, the rollovers are based on a totally different system than I've ever really seen before. Basically, instead of rolling over based on wagers, it follows special promotional rules, which I'm going to find out right now. Here we are. So you head to this page, read all these details. These rollover point earnings are very important. This page, I know it's a lot of stuff to read, but guys, if you're going to chase a bonus, including referrals, point your browser to the promotion rules page and check it out before you sign up. If GTBets added a poker room, a virtual bingo room, and a more robust mobile service, they really could compete with other all-in-one sites, especially other sites that are aimed at the US market. For now, you can't call it all-in-one. It's basically a casino with a little NFL-focused sportsbook attached to it. The bonuses are tempting, but there's not a lot of them for us sportsbook bettors, and I'm not so sure about licensure from Curacao. You can look that up on your own. I remain pretty neutral on the site overall. It doesn't have enough experience in the industry. I'm not crazy about the deposit and withdrawal method problem for American customers, but as an American or Canadian, you don't have many options when it comes to placing legal sports bets. And if you can find a deposit and withdrawal method at GTBets that works, then I can totally recommend it, no matter where you live in the world.